Hi there. My name is Tobias Gilk, and I am, among other things, a certified MR safety expert, MR, magnetic resonance, MRI scanners. Um, and I'm coming to you. I want to kind of diversify my outlets for sharing information. Those of you who may have seen me in other places, whether that's Facebook or TikTok or others, you may know me as the guy who shares stories about MRI accidents. And that's what I'm doing here. So, about 2 years ago, from when I'm recording this, so February of 2023, there was a horrific accident. A nurse brought a patient on an ICU bed into the room with the MRI scanner. For those of you who may not be familiar, this was a very bad decision, because the magnetic field for virtually all MRI scanners is not shut down, not easily anyway, which means they leave it up and running 24/7, 365. And the magnetic field for an MRI scanner is incredibly powerful. And so the bed with the ICU patient on it is loaded with steel components and hardware and constituent bits and framing and whatnot. The magnet from the MRI scanner grabs the bed and slams it into the MRI scanner. Thankfully, miraculously, the ICU patient who was on the bed just kind of gets bucked off and lands on the floor, a bump or bruise, but otherwise unharmed. The nurse, however, same cannot be said for. The nurse, she was trapped between the bed and the MRI scanner and essentially was being crushed by the attractive force between the MRI and the bed. She was badly injured. This incident was shared with me, and I came to find out that the hospital where this accident occurred and the system, the network that they were a part of, was working very hard to try and keep this quiet, to the point where, under their license, if somebody is injured in a healthcare environment, you're required to essentially alert the state licensure authority, right? And secondarily, because this was an employee of the hospital who was injured, you're supposed to notify OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration. It would appear that the hospital notified neither of these two mandatory reporting bodies, right? This is symptomatic of a bigger problem that we have in MRI, that it is widely held that it is just much better, easier, safer from a PR standpoint to simply sweep these incidents under the rug, not acknowledge them, even if there is a statutory obligation to do so, and be a see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkey, and just go about your daily business. Pretend like you didn't see the thing that you saw. Why am I bringing this up now? Because within the next several days, I'm expecting to get what's called a CMS 2567 report. And a CMS 2567 is a Statement of Deficiencies Plan of Correction. And that's the official form when a healthcare provider that also gets reimbursed by Medicare, Medicaid, when something bad is uncovered, that they jeopardize the safety, the health, the well-being, the life of a patient or caregiver or anybody in their institution, CMS reserve the right to come and investigate, right? And the 2567 report is the end product of that. So much of the information I have about the ICU bed accident I got from the 2567 report from that incident. I got that about a year ago. I'm expecting a different 2567. A hospital that is almost quite literally a stone's throw away from the one where the ICU bed accident occurred, purportedly imaged a patient with a transesophageal temperature probe. Now, this is a little bit healthcare geeky, right? But sometimes we need to monitor the temperature of patients on an ongoing basis. And one of the ways that that can be done is essentially think of it as a thermometer on a wire, right? And we put that thermometer down the patient's throat, and it actually goes down. So your mouth goes into your throat actually splits off, and you have your trachea that goes to your lungs, and then you have your esophagus that goes to your stomach, right? So we put this temperature probe down the mouth of the patient into their esophagus, and they essentially swallow it down, and it lives in their stomach, and it's a really effective way of monitoring a patient's temperature on an ongoing basis. This patient got MRI scanned with a temperature probe in them, and purportedly the radiofrequency energy from the MRI study essentially heated the wire that connects the little probe that's down in the stomach and then comes up and out the mouth, right? It heated that wire to a point where it burned the patient's esophagus. Again, secondhand, third-hand reports burn the patient's esophagus badly. And again, it would appear as though the incident was not reported to the State Department of Health. Because this was an injury involving a patient, that doesn't invoke the requirement to report that to OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, like the ICU bed accident did. But it seems like a different institution, a different enterprise and healthcare system, but it's a Groundhog Day event, right? So we're going through the exact same thing again, and we shouldn't. We know how these MRI accidents occur. We know how to prevent them. We have a long list of existing best practices that are remarkably effective at preventing accidents and injuries. Nobody requires that. Your State Department of Health does not require the best practices for MRI safety at licensed healthcare facilities, hospitals, or imaging centers. The accreditation organizations that are ostensibly there to assure quality and safety with respect to MRI, they don't really assure safety. They have some really great tools in place to assure image quality, but they just don't do it for safety. You're going to be seeing more of me here talking about MRI safety. And God willing, if I get this 2567 from the transesophageal temperature probe burn, we're going to be talking some about the specifics of that particular accident. If you have questions, concerns, stories, anecdotes about MRI and MRI safety, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I will do whatever I can to try and answer your questions. Thank you very much, and I'm thrilled to be here with you.